I'm sure that's.
Okay, so we're meeting to reconvene on our letter that we started on the 14th.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
may I have a pencil, please? Thank you. Whoops.
okay, and we have members present, anything online, anyone online?
Nobody yet.
Just keep an eye on
Yep, the participant.
Yep.
Nobody yet, just.
the waiting room and.
Yep.
Was anyone else gonna attend via Zoom? Suzanne, do you know?
Pardon
Was
me?
anyone else gonna attend via Zoom?
I have no idea. I
Okay.
was wondering where Buzz is.
He had to work, he's at work,
Oh, okay.
yes. So Clayton is our pilot on the computer.
See how it goes. It should be.
Okay.
It runs smooth.
Okay. All right, I know there's been a lot of information out there.
Like this paper copy of what's there. I know, I hate to try to read things on
Ron, did
screen.
you get one? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Suzanne's got one, okay. These are just bullet points that we talked about at our last meeting. I know since our last meeting, this is 181 and the road construction has been rolled back, right? Road construction is one, 181.
I don't know that 181 has been, but I think at least the road rule and tier 3 have been backed up. It's still in flux.
Yeah. I'm basing this on what I learned yesterday, so I'm not up to date. But the informal agreement on the House Environmental Committee seems to be that everyone agrees to, you know, roll back the road rule in tier 3, perhaps even tier 2. However, what's been happening is that there have been suggestions to add some more material to this proposal to roll back that would create potentially issues down the line, you know. Another committee to be looking into things, another report back and so on. So that certainly there's some pushback on what's happening. And nothing official has happened, you know, there's been no votes taken to move out of committee or anything like that.
Mhm.
I think the only thing that actually did happen was a postponement of a due date that was supposed to be this summer, in July, for the road rule. That has definitely happened.
Has that come out of committee and gone to the?
I'm pretty sure that that's final.
I know it's been agreed to. Yes, I don't know if it's actually come out because there's a law that has to be changed.
Mhm.
I'm just not sure myself.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, how do you want to handle public comments? Do you want to do them as you go along? Would that be all right?
Sure, as long as they're kept within reason, sure.
Okay. And is your plan to go through this letter paragraph by paragraph since we haven't seen it until now?
In my case, since we haven't seen each other's input,
You
I
have.
wanna- no, just the chair's scarecrow letter to work with, so. That was part of the, we would not discuss amongst ourselves anything out of public meeting.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, I would suggest that before we do that, I think we should go through the letter, you know, take the time and go through the letters. The first time I've seen it as a whole, I've seen some of the elements of it.
Right, because I took the bullet points from our meeting.
You know, what I'm want to suggest at the very beginning is one, this should be sent in addition to what you've named here, our county senators and our district house rep. Okay? They should know what we're doing, they should feel the weight of, what our town may choose to do. And then the second thing is, I agree with Eric. Comment that he made yesterday individually to us, maybe 2 days ago. That this letter should not come from the planning commission solely. I've looked at the 19 towns as of yesterday that sent in letters of protest. 2 of them include the signing from the select board chair and the planning commission chair, and that's what I propose we do. We send a letter to the select board, asking them to take it up, review it, make changes, decide whether or not they want to go ahead. And ask that they also include you as a co-signer.
Mhm.
That's what
I've also found out that, as a planning commission, we can make statements on land use regulations. No?
No, not really. I mean,
We can make statements.
a public facing letter to the people we're talking about is representing a town, and we are, in this case, subservient to the select board. And we can ask the select board to either endorse or be co-author. But we cannot demand public exposure through the letter. So our job, as I see it, is to do the best job we can at expressing our interest as a planning commission to the select board and ask the select board to either endorse our sending it, which they could, or they can join us,
Mhm.
which they could, or they could say, nah, we don't want to have anything to do to anybody, and we have to accept that.
Yeah, no, I agree. The distinction that Eric was pointing out a couple of days ago, is between an appointed planning commission and an elected planning commission, if I understood right. And we're
Yeah.
not elected,
No,
so we have no formal rights on our own. All our rights go through the select board.
What about at the regional commission level? Can they provide statements?
they could.
Maybe it's the regional commissioners.
They're not likely to. They tend to be as neutral on issues as possible and just play an interpretive role between the state and us, even though they are constituted by us. And theoretically, they couldn't exist without the commissioners from the member towns. But in real fact, they are interpreting the rules that are coming out of the state. They play a role of evaluating the environmental court's jurisdiction on Act 250 permits. We don't veto them, but we have, as a WRC body, we can make comments, but comments relative to the regional plan. So the regional plan is a document which is, vetted by the state, and the WRC looks at state issues with a view of the regional plan when it looks towards developments within the region. But they won't make comments about the state rules. They'll make comments relative to regional plan, but they don't criticize or try to add to state regulations.
All right, so in
That's
this,
not their role.
so in this case, we see an issue with this. And we're just gonna pass it to the select board that here's what we think.
Yeah, and
And
hope for the best.
That's what I'd like to see.
Okay.
I think they're saying the same thing.
Can I just ask one question? The reluctance to do that, or the indication that maybe this is something that the planning commission wants to unilaterally, make a public statement on. Does that come from some concern that the select board wouldn't be in line with the position that is being suggested here?
No,
Not that I'm aware of. I think it was,
Not relevant.
Oh. I think
You
it,
never know, but, I don't anticipate the select board will have pushback on what, this letter is addressing in terms of particulars. They may want to take a slightly different tone or something like that, but I don't see any other, reason for major, but that's just what I'm suggesting. We also have a member of the planning commission who's a member of the select board, so,
No, I know.
my take on
we're
things
well on
was,
the way.
it had to do more with timing. The exigency of the situation where comments had to be in quickly. And if we had gone through a 2-month process, it would have been so what? We wanted to have our opinion as soon as possible before these people select, and now much of the reason for being quick about it has evaporated, but the intent, I think, still has value, especially if we can gain the select board's concurrence with us to let the people know that are trying to push Act 250, in my opinion, down our throats. Know that there are things that should be done collaboratively instead of autocratically.
Good, I would affirm from my perspective that there is not, you're reading the select board correctly, there is not any indication that there's, an obstacle here. The issues of timing, we can certainly try to be responsive to that. And the issue of wordsmithing, is something different. I mean, there's, I'm not even commenting, but, I'm glad to hear that there is not concern by this confusion that there's going to be a contrary position that the select board is likely to take.
I think so. It's a strong statement, and I think we felt among ourselves that we wanted to make a strong
Yeah.
statement. And so the select board may choose a slightly different way of going about it. But I don't think things are, in terms of the difficulty and danger of the situation, I don't think that's changed because, again, I'm not on top of things, but what I'm hearing from folks from Montpelier is that, this resigning of the road rule tier 3 and so on is not a done deal in the sense of what comes out may have a poison pill in it. I don't know, but it just tells me, let's imagine the worst case scenario and move quickly. That's good.
Clayton, you have anything to add at this point?
No, nothing, as right this second.
Yep, anyone?
Nobody
Jump in.
in the meeting. Nope, just us,
Okay.
all over. Everything.
Have you had a chance to take a look at this?
No, Ronnie, you're reading mine, because I handed, you have mine and, I made personal edits and structure as well as,
Thank you.
the actual document that you have.
No.
I think you have it.
Made its way out.
Well, we all have copies, one.
Yeah, okay,
So you know which one's
Yeah.
which.
Can we look at the letter?
Yeah, I'm trying to find where you edited it. And read.
Yeah, I should have, made them different, colors like you did, that was smarter, yeah. But it's just, I expanded on a few things, there really wasn't, again, not really a content based. Editing, more like just a structure, you can see in the bullet points,
Yeah, you,
just reiterating the statements of consent, I think was pretty key.
Mhm.
just because when you're writing, not that I've ever written something like this, but in my experience writing, something like this, you really kind of want to reiterate all your concerns throughout the entire paper, like over and over again, so really you're gonna nail it kind of down. So that's only, so stuff like that I added. In the closing statements, I also added, again, reiterating the issues. And then just a couple sentences, but we can look at mine later, but I should have had it formatted a little bit easier to understand the differences, so I wasn't.
I like how you gave these sort of more formal bullet point description, right?
Yeah,
Now,
The bullet point, by the way, is a common occurrence in the letters that I've looked at.
right.
And it's nice that you added that last paragraph in those 4 bullets, as you point out, hitting them again with, this is what we're
Yeah, exactly.
going
Yep.
after.
nice. This is, is there another copy of this?
Of mine, yeah, I
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
you might have it more
We can,
over here.
yeah, it's a little bit,
This is the only copy I have.
Oh, is not the same?
So this one, I made edits to the original and then brought up the remaining cover to that. This one is, Eric's edits
on mine, yeah.
These are my edits, but on Matt's draft.
So it's the total letter on the front and the back of this.
That's my edits of what he wrote.
Yeah, and then
So I'm confused. So which version are you now?
we're gonna discuss it.
We haven't seen each other's input into this before now.
Okay. So I think all we need to do is be able to look at what you're looking at and,
Yeah.
right, up to progress follow. So maybe Clayton, if you could make a copy
Yeah,
of this, there's a printer right there.
yeah, well, you can have my copy from that.
Oh, okay.
This one's not saved. but-
So what Clayton did was he,
The one up there, the one we're working on?
yeah,
Okay.
oh no, is that yours up there?
This one is edits from this.
Okay.
Yeah,
You don't have yours up?
I can, hold on,
Can you scroll, well,
I can only show one at one.
yeah, I'm not sure why we wanna go back and forth, but.
Yeah.
So if you can show the bottom of that first page, I just want to, you can go up to the bottom of the first page.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Okay. See, the one I'm looking at. The first page, I'm very much at ease with. And it's the one at the very bottom, the bold. Insufficient scientific and local justification. The 2 lines.
That might be mine.
Okay, what I'm saying is, this first page for me is fine.
Mhm.
I don't, you know, we need to change the planning commission, who it's sent to, so on, but, you know, this is good.
Now, do we continue with road rule?
Sorry,
Do we continue with the road rule or road construction?
No, it's generically known as the road rule.
I've only seen that.
Okay,
I don't know if you need.
I started seeing it as road construction.
Are you talking about a title at the top?
Yeah,
I don't think we need that in the actual letter,
Mhm.
no.
well, it's throughout, it's associated
Yeah.
road rule.
Yeah,
Although it is emotional language, I would prefer to see that question. What animal requires 1 mile or more of habitat crossing? Down here in Clayton's insufficient scientific or local
Yeah,
justification.
Mhm.
Just. It jogs people's. Attention.
yeah, so they need to,
Mind going through this paragraph by paragraph so that we can follow. Are we using this document as the source document?
well, it
This
depends
is the one that's on the screen, right?
I would think that's the one I
This is
have,
titled Strong Opposition to Act 181.
yeah, but they may
Okay.
always say that.
And I think that's the same one that's on the screen.
No,
The one with green edits on it,
I think there's some black and white.
Oh, they're
there.
black and white.
If you can see the edits, they're a little lighter color.
Okay, because this content is very, very different than this
Right.
content. So which one are we using for the source document here?
We haven't
I'd like to
decided.
Suggest that we use this one here, where the one of the bold dot at the bottom is the insufficient scientific.
Okay, that's Clayton's.
Two lines, okay. I would like us to go to that one unless we want to argue about which one we want to use, which is fine with me.
Because, well,
because this is-
Clayton's, what you're looking at. It was much better because he's got it more in a letter form versus the bullet point form.
So-
Yeah, and also the content, so this is saying.
It's got pretty much the same content.
Utmost concern will be causing negative impacts and demand a full repeal. This one says, we urge the full repeal of the road rule until tier 3 elements, along with a more inclusive process for any future land use reform. Now, to my reading, that is a much more effective statement than saying we're asking for full repeal.
Mhm.
As we were just discussing, I'd like to see that, that question added of what animal requires 1 mile or more of habitat crossing, which was, in the one with the green lettering in it, added to, Clayton's
Yeah.
insufficient scientific or local justification at the bottom of the page.
I'm very, Eric, but you were suggesting to add something from.
Yeah.
Do you mind repeating that? Because I,
Okay,
Bullet point 3
yeah,
up here.
from bullet point 3,
I'm sorry, in which version?
the one green, the green, do you have a green? Green text one?
Yeah,
Okay, the green text is where I modified what Matt originally wrote. And in the third bullet point down, it says there needs to be more scientific justification for species buffers. And then what animal requires 1 mile or more of habitat crossing? I would like to have that one last sentence. What animal requires 1 mile or more of habitat crossing added to the other version, which is Clayton's, and is started bullet point at the bottom of the page, insufficient scientific or local justification.
The place to add that sentence is after the first sentence on the second page.
Yep.
Where that first sentence
Mhm.
finishes off, questions remain justifying mile plus protection. And then we put in that sentence. Yeah. That's something.
Yep, I agree. Yep,
Yeah, because you wrote justifying mile plus protections. Yeah.
Let's reword that as a question, so it has.
yeah, it kind of jars people, the readers, perception of things. And they have to kind of, look at it from their perspective, what animal does.
Right.
When we don't have Siberian spotted leopards or whatever running around here that can't, stand people anywhere near them.
Could be a snail.
All of our native animals are, I think, more accustomed to much less privacy when they're crossing places than a mile width.
Right.
There. That's just put it in there for emphasis.
Yeah. No, I like that. That makes sense.
Can you edit as we go?
Yeah, let me, and I can show the edits as I'm doing.
Yeah.
If that makes it easier. We just unshare. Log into the room real quick.
And then, county senators, reps.
Sorry?
Names of county reps and. Where do we,
They sing and who's the other one? We can look, if we can, ask the select board administrator to, clean that up.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest is we add the county senators
Wyndham,
and
yeah.
our house rep as well.
Are you are suggesting to send this to every representative and every senator? Or not?
In the whole
In-
state, or,
in the county.
That's,
and
well,
Yes.
Vermont has a representative, that sounds to me like the entire house, and the Senate, the entire Senate. Is that your intention?
I'm sorry, no, excuse me.
Okay, is it your intention to send this letter to all the representatives and all senators? In the
Not
legislature?
mine. Do it.
You're correct, that's how this reads.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we originally,
Or are you?
in our last meeting, that's what we wrote down, so we can adjust it now, how we
Okay,
want to do
so
it.
so you're talking about just our local representative and senators
That's what.
as recipients?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
We start with Grafton. Is that right? Senators that represent Grafton.
Yes.
represent-
So they're the
Yeah.
Wyndham County senators and then, our combined district, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Wendy Harrison and Nadie Hashim and Thomas Chalk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also would like to have the chairs of the two committees in the Senate and House. Environmental, energy, whatever their long
Yeah.
title is. Copied on this because they are the ones that, got it. Have had it in their purview to review. I think it's important that they understand. That this little municipality here, has an issue, and those are the two committees that work on this. I don't know how do you guys feel about that?
yeah,
It's important that he get to those committees.
Mhm.
yeah. No, absolutely.
And was land use review board, they still have a mailbox?
And that,
I don't know.
Does LURB still have a mailbox? Do we send it to them?
I don't understand your.
No.
The land use review board, they've been rolled back, they've been told to pretty much go home, haven't they?
They're inactive, but I don't think they've been dissolved.
Yeah.
They have a multi-million dollar budget in there
Yeah,
and
So
employees
it's still-
getting well paid, they're not
to
going
them?
anywhere until someone cuts off their funding.
should we send it to attention Alex, or,
Well, there's five of them,
yeah,
you have to send it to all of them.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
one of five.
Yeah, that's important because he seems to be the public face.
mm,
And we don't know how unified they are on various aspects of their sites.
mm,
But they're probably gonna be key in whatever gets around in the sausage grinder up there going forward.
Yeah,
mm.
so, send it to the whole board.
Before we forget about this, your point, Eric, about adding, what, animal requires 1 mile or more of habitat crossing?
Yeah.
It's best put.
After your third line there, mile plus protections after that.
Right after this one,
Yeah.
and then its own sentence, what animal requires 1 mile or more of habitat crossing?
Right.
Okay.
Mm.
We're donkeys too.
Hmm?
I just said you're a stupid joke, that's okay. Maybe elephants.
Can you think of anyone else?
I
That we
think
can-
this letter, the way it's written, is really a good, solid letter. It takes a strong stand, which you wanted to take, but it takes it with grace, with reason, with samples. I think it comes across as very professional. I would have one question, which is about, bullet point number 5, I think, statewide zoning and erosion. Act 181 effectively creates de facto statewide zoning. enforced by the unelected land use review board. What does that mean? How does Act 181, I know that's a buzzword going around, but what does it mean? Effectively creates de facto statewide zoning.
Through Act 250. And you've trimmed that out of,
Mhm. I mean, I can add that back in. I trimmed out the Act 250 part and then added the enforced by unelected land use review board.
Look at the last bullet point on the edited page.
the green one.
Okay. What is, then I still have the same question, it's clearly state zoning. What does that mean?
Well, that is to characterize much of what Act 250 does is the same function as municipal zoning, only at a state level. And it uses the rules of Act 250 to achieve it.
So do you wanna,
Really? Is it
Yeah,
an arguable point, or is that,
that's an opinion point.
okay?
That's why it says de facto, and effectively does this.
But de facto means it happens as a consequence or result of Act 250, not by law.
Yeah.
Right,
But the fact is that I'm not quite, if you think about zoning in a local community where you have identifiable districts that are either residential or commercial or a blend, and these kind of things are drawn out, and then there's a board that reviews these and gives zoning permits. It seems to me that with Act 250 and the 10 qualifications that any applicant has to abide by, is not the same as carving out areas and saying these are only for commercial and these are only for residential. That's why I'm a little confused by why you would use that.
it is imposing land use. And it is expansive in that once a property owner's any part of a property owner's property becomes subject to Act 250, all of that land that person owns is under Act 250, and Act 250 is a land use regulator. And that's why it is like zoning. And the chief reason for using the word zoning is because it is a emotional trigger word to folks who don't like state imposed control.
Go,
No, you,
well, so, 181 changes, not really, what Act 250 means or is intended to do. It changes the jurisdiction and the tools.
Yes,
Instead of looking at the size of a development or proposed, undertaking, it looks at the location. It is, 181 is simply a change in the methodology, how Act 250 is administered.
Yeah.
And
yes,
so it doesn't appear that in any way all of a sudden makes it zoning,
well,
just because it uses a different methodology.
it applies Act 250 where it wasn't before.
Well, it applies it, yes, but it also doesn't outright prohibit any development in, let's say,
Yeah,
tier 3. It only requires the process of applying for a permit. There's no prohibition. And that's why I would have had a problem in your other draft with the word condemnation.
yes,
Because there is no condemnation, there is only the process of acquiring a permit to do
if
something.
all of the town of Grafton were subject to Act 250, people would be very upset.
but they're not.
But they're not,
No,
they're not.
no, but a big chunk of it is now under this Act 181.
Well,
No more than that people.
so there are
If
portions
you-
of this town where there is a tier 3 designation. They're actually fairly minimal when you look at the map. there is nothing anywhere on Fisher Hill.
Right.
Up, down on the Township Road or Springfield.
Forget the road rule.
Okay, that's a separate question, I'm not right now talking
Okay.
about tier three.
Tier three is big in its application to Grafton compared with some other towns. Townsend has a worse case than we do. And if you put the road rule on top of things, it impacts a lot of the town.
Yeah, well, there's a separate processes, looking at tier three and looking at the
Well,
road rule.
Right.
Another aspect of this is, we're talking about the road rule in tier three, but in fact, Act 181 has mapped out our whole town. Tier one, tier two, tier three, road rule. So, Act 181, in fact, is the governing act for everything in our town.
Well, yes, so it is, but,
So-
tier one is an unchanged situation.
Right.
We still,
Yes,
we
that's
still
fine, but it's
require,
still governing.
we still.
Because we don't have zoning.
If we don't have zoning, we have, if we had zoning, we would be exempt from any permit in tier one.
But we don't.
But we don't, but therefore there's no change.
Right.
Therefore, I don't
What,
see-
what's the point?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not arguing whether or not there's change, what I'm saying is that, that map is for every single square inch of Vermont, the Act 181 map. It breaks it up into different categories, and, what, as I understand it, is that what it's saying is, okay, you have Act 250, but now we're gonna fine tune it a bit. Didn't do a very good job with tier three, but anyways, we're gonna fine tune it a bit. So you see, how one, Act 250 will affect different kinds of properties in different locations. But it's still a map for the whole town, that it
So,
hasn't
but
changed
what's
any,
your point, Bob?
that in fact, it's covering the whole town.
It doesn't make any changes.
I'm not, I could care less whether it makes changes, that, to me, that's not the important issue, maybe I should be worried about it. What it's doing is it's, governing what could happen in the whole town. And so I agree with Eric, that's a form of zoning.
So I would just ask us to step back for a second. This letter very articulately states, we are writing to express our deep concern over Act 181 and road rule. And it says, we urge the full repeal of the road rule and tier three of Act 181.
Yeah.
And the request that we're making in this letter, stated so well, is very likely going to happen. This means that it is not being imposed on us, that the Act 250 and Act 181 were originally approved by our own elected legislature. And now the voice of the people has been heard again, and it's likely to be repealed. I think that the point of this letter is that even more public engagement needs to take place before the next round of legislation that will guide the agencies in making their rules.
I agree,
Isn't that what we're saying?
I agree, and
That's,
this,
and I think we have violent agreement.
Yeah,
yeah, the idea is, this is not an exercise in futility. This is an exercise to emphasize the fact that we don't like what you did before and pay attention to what you're gonna do in the future.
This does that very, very well. I think the note, the bringing up, using the word zoning is off-putting. I think it's jolting. I
Yeah,
think
that's
if you
intended to
use the
be.
same kind of language, I also think it's inaccurate, by the way.
Pardon me?
I think it's inaccurate. But I think if we use the same kind of language that has been used in the rest of the letter, to Lisa's point, the methodology, the something along those lines, instead of making an arguable point and getting into the same argument we just got into about whether this is zoning or not. I think it reduces the effectiveness of this letter to put that in there that way, and I don't think it's what we're saying.
Well, I think we should just go on, we can't, we disagree on that,
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want
That's
to. be
your
here all
opinion,
night
thank you.
talking that word. We can decide whether or not we'd like that phrase in.
Yeah, for
And-
sure.
And then go ahead, you know, we've got agreement on this letter as a whole, if I understand right.
Mhm.
And if we wanna amongst us and take a vote on the issue, you know, calling it de facto statewide zoning, we can talk about that and then resolve it and then go on.
And there's no argument that,
Yeah, no, I, it's
Absolutely.
just, that's,
Yeah.
you know, I disagree with your position, but it doesn't matter, you know, let's.
Yeah.
We're gonna come out of here with a letter.
Right.
With the select board.
Yeah.
And you are really only talking about tier 3 and road rule, so the points about tier 1 and tier 2 are actually irrelevant.
Well, they are and they are not, but let's not continue that argument.
Well, you're just making that point about tier 1, so I'm just saying that you are actually not addressing that in this letter.
No.
You're
No,
only
we're not.
addressing
There are other
tier
practical states that are. There are actually some people who, some select boards that have, you know,
Maybe so, but maybe this.
it's because.
maybe
Doesn't
this
apply to
can
us.
be
Because they're
that
looking at their
argument.
map and they're saying, oh my gosh, and so we looked at our map and they say, oh, tier 1, who cares, tier 2, well. Maybe we should do a little work about that, but that's a different issue. Anyways, you know. If. The only thing I can see of us having discussion on now is whether or not we want to include the strong wording that, you know, Eric proposed on his own.
Wanna make a motion of it? Wanna motion that?
Well, I think we
Vote on it?
talked about it. The four of us haven't really.
Well, we can
We've been
discuss it.
talking about public here rather than ourselves.
Personally, I think we should keep it in there
And why is that, Matt? What does it add to it?
because it's adding that little degree of,
Degree of what?
you know,
I used it because it has an edge to it, and it is.
yeah, thank you, an edge.
You think the edge is useful for your?
Well, why don't you think it is? Why don't you think it is?
Yeah, so as Suzanne has been pointing out, this is otherwise a very reasonably written letter. And reasonable arguments usually have more success than angry, emotional arguments that usually trigger strong opposition. And so, and
Well, who will this take opposition? Who will feel upset about that?
well, but that seemed to be the point, that it triggers that.
Well, we have
Because
two people here that are upset, so.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously,
I
you're,
think, you know, it's not, I don't want us to go back and forth for an
yeah,
hour.
no, we're done here in 2
Yeah,
minutes,
so,
and we're gonna
You know,
finish this letter.
why do I want it in there? You know, a couple of things. One, I do think it's, you know, a de facto form of zoning, okay? And I do think,
it's one person's opinion.
yeah, but you're asked, you know, we're here to make a decision and vote. I do think that, I think it can be defended on the basis that they've given a map for every square inch of the state that divides it up into different kinds of territories with what you can do and not do and so on. That it hasn't changed some parts of it, doesn't matter. You now have a new map for the whole state that this is proposed. That's zoning to me, okay? And I'll go on the fact that I was a zoner. I have a master's degree in zoning. I practiced zoning, regional planning for 10 years. So I think I can identify when something, you know, if it looks like a duck and acts like a duck, the duck, it's a damn duck, you know? So I'm fully at ease with that. That it may upset some people. You know, not here to make people happy, but here to try and, you know, make a statement that we feel we can get behind on. So I certainly support, you know, Eric's phrasing on that. It works for me.
Any comment?
No, I agree. I think, I mean, I wouldn't say it's emotional by any means. I mean, I think it's the same reason why we're using that sentence that Eric added in the previous bullet point. What animal requires 1 mile or more of habitat crossing? I mean, it's certain, I mean, I guess it might be a little bit more emotional, not maybe a statistical standpoint, but it's, I mean, it's pointing out a point and, I don't know, I think again, it has an edge to it, has a bit of an urgency to it, I don't see an issue with it. In my opinion.
So I propose we leave it at.
Okay,
Okay, we leave it in.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments.
We actually. Speaking to me, I did. You know, I'm really at ease with the letter, you know, how it's put together and Matt, he's starting off and Eric's especially. His careful review and Clayton is on here, that's really nice, it's good. I appreciate it.
So at the end, when we say, respectfully submitted, we're taking out our names. This is gonna be sent to the select board, they can do what they want with it, and then they can add their signature on it.
I'd leave it there, and if the select board wants to endorse it
Okay,
and allow us to send it, independently, they can. If they want to sign on, then their names get put on under a bullet of, Grafton Select Board.
okay,
What would we like to see them do?
I would like to see them, endorse it and,
Also sign it.
also sign it. So that are both organizations, if you will, of the town are behind
Exactly.
it.
So, and that's, I fully agree. So that's why I'm thinking, you know, we send it to them and say, you know, this is our proposal for a letter that the select board can take up and support. You know, we want to have the planning commission, you know, as part of the senders. Yeah, so, you know, so I would take out, you know, respectfully submitted, because at the end, we can even write and suggest it, you know. Chair of the select board and chair of the planning commission, that's fine.
okay.
That's our, you know, we're submitting a proposal for them to pick up and adopt as their own and make whatever changes they need.
Or they can say, no,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
not sending
they-
anything.
they can.
At the top, instead of Vermont, put Wyndham County representatives
Okay,
and Senate.
so I should just take out both of these. What are this?
Then we can get names and addresses from,
Well, actually, what he just took out, if I may, alter that slightly. That should have been the,
Senate members.
we were talking about the, chairs of the two committees in the Senate and the House
Yes.
Yeah.
that have jurisdiction.
Okay, so put, what exactly do you want to write instead of Vermont House of Representatives?
Vermont committees, Vermont
Well,
House committees.
House, what are they, they're the environmental and their second word to it, environmental.
Yeah, I don't know what their formal titles are. They're different between the Senate and the House.
So
But the Vermont House and Senate committees of jurisdiction.
You can write that on both and we can leave it up to, who's running our town administration day to day now?
Michelle,
Michelle. Well, we ask her to find like particulars, we don't have to figure it out now.
and then,
Just change this. Next. What? Alright, and then at the end, Ron, you were saying, it should should sign it. Grafton Planning Commission, have Matt in there as the chair, and we'll take our names out, and then if the.
And then to the left of that, if it takes precedence, is Grafton Select Board Chair.
Should we have them, add that, or?
Yeah, I would
Just leave
put
this.
that to the, you know, I'd push the planning commission map over to the right.
Okay,
You'll like that, and then, you know, on the left side, add the Grafton Select Board. And then have a, you know, a line for signature, yes. Does that make sense?
this to the left. I don't know if I can do this on here, I might have to edit this. Probably a better way to do that. And we can leave a space here for them to add.
Yeah, Kathy as the chair,
Kathy is the chair.
Seattle Goodwin.
Is it hyphen?
Yeah,
She's the chair.
Oh, chair, sorry. I didn't change this. Okay,
So on first page for the rest of these.
Vermont House and Senate
And then
committees of jurisdiction, and I'll take out this.
I would say then, Wyndham County Senators.
I would not say that, I would say members of the House and Senate representing the town of Grafton. Because different counties are involved here, not
Yes,
just Wyndham County.
yeah, well, that's why I meant,
Good point.
so use Wyndham and Windsor. Not the Senate.
Yeah,
I would
just,
say town of Grafton is coming from the town.
yeah, 'cause, you've got a rep that represents
Yeah.
2 counties.
So, representatives, or how should I word that? How do you think?
You could say members of the House and Senate representing the town of Grafton.
That's right.
Vermont House and Senate.
Members of the Vermont House and Senate representing the town of Grafton.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
Um,
And I would remove the
all this.
heading, so you don't want that to just sneak it. That's stronger than the actual letter, so.
Okay. Make sure I
We
change.
put regarding, anything?
Act 181 and
Regarding
You
that,
just put,
181,
just,
apropos.
here that 181 in road. Tier 3
road
provision,
rule is part of 181.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say.
so does that 181, tier, yeah.
Should that be, I don't know the format of this, should this be bold or,
Yeah,
yes?
that's good.
Yeah.
Great.
Anyone wanna move the letter?
Hold on a second. I just wanna label this in my drive so I don't get it confused. Like I said, it's dated.
and then dear Governor Scott,
At all,
Dear Governor Scott and members of Vermont legislative and relative agencies. Or
we're
relevant
sending
agencies.
it to the VLCT, the Land Use Review Board, the Regional Planning Commission. By the time we say all that,
You could put that on the CC list if you wanted to, since you're really truly about addressing government officials.
yeah, that's a good idea, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so under Governor Phil Scott, you could put CC for everything else.
I
Okay,
don't know.
well, should we do that in the letter before we then?
let Michelle do that, when she sends it.
It's more than just the governor that we want this to
Yeah,
feel as though they are the recipients of not just a courtesy.
You're all of the above.
Couldn't you just say, dear Governor Scott, members of the Vermont legislature and relevant agencies, and then put VLCT, Wyndham Regional Commission, in the CC list?
Yeah, that could be, yeah. WRC is really a CC kind of thing,
Yeah,
as is VLCT.
VLCT, yeah. And just make sure they get it.
so if I take these ones out of here, VLCT and WRC and then,
Well, they come at the very end of the letter.
Yeah, way down, below the signatures. DC. WRC and VLCT.
There, that looks a little thicker.
And then down here below signatures, well. Being that this is a Word document format. Should that even be on this, or can it be, how is this gonna be sent? Email format? Can that just be CC'd in the email itself, and whoever sends it off? Can just CC them to it? You know what I mean? Or should they-
I think it should be on here,
Okay.
it should be on the right.
Um.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yes. So, the select board meets on
Next Monday.
next Monday, so that's.
If we get this finalized, just send it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, cause.
Should.
As I
We're
said,
gonna motion and vote on it?
sorry,
Should we motion and vote on it?
yeah,
So move.
Have motion that we send the letter to select board?
Yep.
Should we send it to all of them or just Kathy? All, send it all? Do you have their emails? You
I,
might have in something.
if I send it to you, I don't have the emails, Can I send it?
Kathy and
Or should-
Buzz and,
Oh, yeah, you know, excellent. Look, before I send it, is this fine the way I have this? I've never added a CC at the end of.
Yeah.
That's fine, just there.
Yeah.
One space down. Okay,
You staying on 2 pages or 1 page?
it's 2 pages now.
you know,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine.
can I pull it out? Yeah.
Let me download this as a Word doc. And I'll shoot it off on my email. Right now.
Oh, we didn't vote.
Yes.
well, I actually gonna read the letter all the way through that.
That's right there.
No.
We good?
No.
So all in, well, motion, I made a motion, you second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you second? You said so moved.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hit send.
Let me just,
Like, can you make a copy of that here?
if this is connected to that printer, I certainly can try.
Yeah.
Let me see.
If, you know, I'm just, you know, it'd be nice to walk out with the actual thing that we agreed on.
Brother printer, that is a brother printer.
It is, yeah.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies maybe?
Lisa? We get her copy?
For sure.
Copy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice, move this out of the way. And.
We can sign it and take pictures.
We did it.
Okay, recording stop?
Let me do that.
No one came in?
No one.